I'm going to show you today how to use the event notifications and countdown timer in the Photographer's Ephemeris for iOS. We're going to imagine that we're in Bora Bora in French Polynesia for the purposes of this demonstration. First thing I'm going to do is tap the info button here at the bottom right of the map. And that brings up the timeline details page. And you'll see the bulk of this is occupied by the chronological list of events that we have configured. And you can choose which events are included by tapping the settings icon at the top right and check or uncheck whatever it is you'd like to see and for which bodies, the Sun, Moon or the galactic center that you'd like to see it. So I'll leave that as is. At the top here we have the two entries for the event countdown and notifications function. First thing we're going to deal with is the notification status. If you haven't used this before, chances are that the app isn't yet authorized to send you notifications. So we can come in there and just look at what's available. First of all, you can send yourself a test notification to see if things are working. That's not going to work at the moment because we don't have authorization. So first thing I'll do is authorize notifications. It pops up a system level dialog and I'm going to choose allow. If you have the scheduled summary enabled in the notification settings on your phone, that also appears an option. I don't recommend you choose that because that won't allow the notifications necessarily to appear at the correct time. So I'm going to choose allow. And then we see here that there is a list of status checks that the app performs to see if the notification settings are set up correctly to allow you to receive and hear the announcements of the events. And everything looks good. So let's schedule a test notification. I'm going to tap that.
Test notification in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And what happened is that the app scheduled a notification. It sent it from the app to the system and it was set for a certain time. And then the notification comes with an announcement which you could hear there. And the timing of the start of the notification is such that the countdown of the event, this test event, is synchronized with the timing of the test event in the app. And you could see that from the countdown that was displayed on screen versus the countdown that you heard from the notification. So all seems to be working well. I'm going to come back here, and if I choose Moonrise, that sets the time of the app to the time of Moonrise in Bora Bora. And then I'm going to tap here on rehearsal mode, and you can see that it's set at the time of Moonrise, so T-minus 0 seconds until Moonrise. It's happening now. If I rewind using this little 10-second button, so let's say 40 seconds, well let's go 50, a minute and 10 before Moonrise. And now what I can do is, I have notifications enabled there. You see the little bell, you can tap that to toggle them on or off. When they're enabled, it still says 0 notifications scheduled, and that's because in rehearsal mode, where we're basically causing the events to play out at a time of our choosing rather than the actual time when they would occur, we don't schedule the notifications until we click play and start the countdown timer running. So let's do that and see what happens. You'll see there it now says 21 notifications scheduled.
Moonrise in approximately 1 minute.
So that was the first of our notifications, Moonrise in approximately 1 minute. And if I tap on here, you can see the list of things that have been scheduled. So it says here we're going to get a standby for Moonrise in 15 seconds and then another notification when Moonrise is due. So let's just go back and we can watch the countdown and let's see how this plays out. So in approximately 20 seconds, we should hear the standby notification, and you'll also see that when the standby occurs, it's very clearly indicated on screen. So let's just watch that happen.
Standby.
Now we have a yellow standby condition, and the moon will be rising in about 7 seconds.
Moonrise is due now.
And there we are. Now, with something like Moonrise, it's often obscured by haze on the horizon or due to visibility, or you can't quite see clearly to the horizon. And so the time is somewhat approximate, but it's an app, it's a computer, it has to calculate a particular time, and so we make the announcement at the time that has been calculated. But bear in mind that for things like moonrise or moonset, or sunrise or sunset, these times are probably accurate to within the nearest minute, because they change due to atmospheric conditions, refraction, haze, or obstructions indeed. So now I'm going to pause that timer, and I'll come back here, and we can see that we have the app set to 9:35. Let me track real time. You'll see that moonrise isn't due, in fact, for another 6 minutes or so in this location. This is today, March 13th, 2024. And so what I can do now, I'm going to come back in here, go rehearsal mode. I'm going to switch into live mode. And in live mode, we are now tracking real time. It happens to be for the location in Bora Bora, which is a long way from where I currently am here in Colorado. But we're tracking the events as they are happening in that location. And the notifications you will hear shortly are in reference to real time.
Moonrise in 5 minutes.
So indeed, the moon will rise at that location in 5 minutes' time, and we've just had our 5-minute notification to that effect. What you can do here, if you tap the lock, that stops you accidentally disabling the live notifications or disabling them with the button there. You'll see that I wasn't able to do that. When I come back out of here, you can see the notifications remain scheduled. Live mode is shown as enabled. I can send the app to the background. I can bring it back, and things are still running. I go back into live mode. The countdown updates, it's still running. So in live mode, things persist, they keep going. It doesn't matter, even if you quit the app altogether, the notifications will still happen because you set them in live mode. In rehearsal mode, like we did before, if I exit the screen and go back to the map, then all those notifications get cancelled because you don't want them lingering around when you've finished in rehearsal mode. You want them to go away. But in live mode, things are different. And with the lock enabled, you can sort of have an extra degree of security that everything is going to happen as you expect. The little clock there with the green tick beside it, that is showing that the system time on this clock is in good synchronization with network time. So what the app does, it calls out to a bunch of network time protocol servers which give you the real accurate atomic clock time, and it checks whether you have the time of the clock on your device in sync with that or not. We always use the device clock because it could be that if you're offline or remote, we can't actually contact, there is no network service, so we can't check the network time protocol. But if we can check it, it'll tell you whether you're in sync or not. And if you're not, that could be because your clock has drifted, or you've manually set it, say 5 minutes fast, or a different time zone or something like that. And it's important that you make sure that it is in sync, otherwise you'll receive the notifications at the wrong time. Your clock is saying, say it was 2 minutes fast, it would tell you that moonrise is happening 2 minutes earlier than it actually is. But all is good because we see the green tick icon there. If I tap through here, you'll see we're going to get a 1 minute, the standby, and the moonrise due as we saw before. So I'm just going to let that play through.
Moonrise in approximately 2 minutes.
There's a 2-minute notification. Moonrise is one of those events that, as I mentioned, it can be tricky to see on the horizon depending on atmospheric conditions. But for photographic purposes, especially if you're shooting with a long telephoto lens, those first moments when the moon peaks above the horizon are critical. That's when the moon is going to appear at its most orange. You'll see all the distortion from refraction potentially, and therefore getting these notifications of when you can expect to see it can really sharpen your instincts on when to be looking, when to be paying attention, when to be ready with your camera shutter. And that's why the audible notifications are useful for this. You can be listening for these notifications and have your eyes on the camera.
Moonrise in approximately 1 minute.
1 minute. instead of having to double check times against your watch and the app and so forth. So the announcements are intended to let you take your eyes off the phone, off your watch, and leave them on your camera, looking at the scene you're about to photograph. Remember, this is live, so if we were in Bora Bora together, standing on the beach, we could expect the moon
Stand by.
in 15 seconds. Or about that.
Moonrise is due now.
Moonrise is due. We leave the green up for 10 seconds after most events, just to let you know it's happened. And then the app moves on to the next event that's expected, which is when the sun will transit, which is not for another 2 3/4 hours or thereabouts. So to exit live mode, I unlock and I simply switch back to rehearsal. And you can see there that now the notifications are cancelled, 0 notifications are scheduled, and all is well. No more notifications to come, our event has happened, and we're good.